Welcome to Tech Transformation with CGT and RIS News, where we explore the innovative tech strategies and trends in retail and consumer goods. I'm Lisa Johnson, the editor-in-chief of CGT. In this episode, I'm talking with Steve Sigrist of Newell Brands and Justin Honaman of AWS about how some of the most recent consumer behavior shifts are impacting consumer goods companies from an operations and customer service standpoint. Now, I want to note that both Steve and Justin are members of the CGT RIS Executive Council, which is a cross-brand forum of industry innovators who gather to share insight and trends with our team. So Steve, Justin, welcome. It's awesome to have you here.
Wouldn't miss it.
Great to be here.
Yeah, it's great. On a Friday afternoon.
Yes, we are recording on a Friday afternoon. So can we just do some quick intros? Steve, why don't you go first? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and about Newell Brands.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Sigrist. I lead our customer service and order management group at Newell Brands, Vice President of Customer Service in North America. So we're responsible for quite a few customers, really all the top retailers that you would know and key distributors that you would know. When they give us an order, our group takes that order in. We work with a customer in the planning phases, the execution phases. And then when customers call us back and want to know about the status of their order or changes or just anything we could do to support maybe some of the post-sale support needs, my group's involved with that. So we're kind of organized by our different brands, and I'll be sharing some of that information with you today.
It's great to have you here. And, I'm glad you brought up your role, because it is important to note that for this episode, when we talk about customer service, we are talking about the retailer as the customer. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Justin, great to have you here. Tell us, for those who don't know you, a little bit about yourself and about your role.
Hey, Justin Honaman. I lead our worldwide consumer goods and retail go-to-market organization. I've had a chance to work with Steve for, over 10 years through consumer goods technology. We've been a part of a couple of parts of that organization, including their executive council, which we helped to launch. At Amazon, what I do is I work across the industry, both on the retail and consumer goods side. I'm connecting the dots for our customers, like Newell, as they need things like analytic capabilities, like distribution, logistics, advertising, IoT capabilities, like cloud, of course, and the list goes on. So it's very exciting to be here, and excited to be here with you, Lisa and Steve.
Okay, so let's dive in. So in looking at today's consumer behavior shifts, Steve, I'm going to go to you with this one first. Again, keeping in mind that when we talk about customer service, we're talking about the retailer as the customer. Which of the shifts are having the biggest impact on a company like Newell?
What we're seeing from the retailers, Lisa, the things you'd see in the headlines out there today, inventory is up. Supply chain speed is down, or the challenges and the constraints with labor, and all of that very well documented, and no one is not participating or seeing those challenges. Really, what our core sales growth is just coming from staying connected to the consumer, making sure the value of our brands is meaningful to our retailers, and partnering with the retailers. So when people come to the store, despite inflationary pressures or supply chain disruptions, that we've got something that resonates with the consumer when they're in our retailer space. So giving extra care and attention to, hey, why does someone want to make this purchase? What's the value proposition that it offers? And then the operational components, it's more important than ever that's all got to come together. But the challenges are really significant right now, and really an interesting time to be participating in all the marketplace development.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of the things you mentioned we are hearing are universal across the industry. Justin, I'd like to get your perspective, kind of a broader industry perspective on what Steve's saying.
Yeah. So it's been, first of all, and I've said this at a couple of events lately, it couldn't be a more exciting or better time to be in consumer packaged goods. And for those of you watching this that have been in the industry for a long time, it's kind of a slow go. We might add a flavor to a beverage product, or, come out with maybe a new offering here or there. And it's kind of slow growth over the years. But the last couple of years has seen dramatic interest in innovating and having to react, quite frankly, to the consumer changes and the like supply chain changes. So the last 2 years, we had first explosion in direct-to-consumer and e-commerce, right? That was like top of the list across the customers we work with. Then that quickly actually ratcheted down with the focus on supply chain, sourcing upstream, right? Sourcing of materials, making product, shelves being empty, and this is still a case today. I'm sure if we dove into all of the customers that we work with, and Steve, you can provide some perspective on this too. There's still a challenge in raw materials and pallets and the inputs that go into making product, which means shelves are out of stock as well. But I'd say over the last literally 3 to 6 months, we're finally seeing actually some interest again in the consumer. While supply chain is still front and center, digital manufacturing, industrial IoT, supply chain visibility, digital twins, all the buzzwords, like that is still important. But actually the last couple of weeks and months, a number of our customers are investigating new and different ways to connect with consumers again. So I think that's actually pretty exciting. And that's where you're seeing some of the tech come in to enable that.
Yeah, that is exciting. I know we're going to get into some of the tech in just a little bit that's facilitating this progress. So Steve, you did mention, quite a number of challenges that you're working through that all consumer goods companies are working through right now. Can you talk a little bit about how you're adapting to meet these needs?
Yeah, again, I'm going to go back to the most basics, Lisa, just execution. Things that we looked at in the pandemic from the very beginning. Do you have enough people in your manufacturing site to produce the product? Do you have enough people in your distribution sites to pick, pack, and ship and get things ready? And of course, look, we're beyond that. Thank goodness, we're not in the midst of the pandemic pain points that we were, just a couple of years ago, but that execution focus, that time and energy spent. Do I have the basics right? Do I have the processes right? Am I synced with my customer and their customer on when order activity is going to take place? So I've got to put more emphasis on the planning stages, more emphasis on the execution, measuring that closer than I've ever done before. Global visibility to where something is with our supplier. Where is it on a boat? Where is it in our manufacturing process? Where is it inside of our shelves? Where is it with our competitors, or where is it with our carriers? And when's it going to land in front of the consumer? Our responses to that, and of course, this is not on the marketing side at all. This is more on the execution side. And my point of view from customer service is all of that stuff was important in the past. But it makes such a huge difference today when you're able to look inside every little nook and cranny of where execution activity is taking place, and am I perfect in those areas, and strive for perfection in those areas, because where you're not, you could be leaking dollars. So that extra attention to detail is just a huge part of what we're about.
It's almost getting back to basics in a way. Justin,
It really is.
I see you nodding your head, you're nodding your head to a lot of what Steve was saying.
Yeah, there were two things that I heard that I want to just link into. One is the whole idea of like contact center and support for consumers. Like it used to be if there was a recall or, maybe I call if I had a product question. And so you had call centers in CPG, but not really the need for it. And now, there's a whole new opportunity and need for like just the whole connection space. Information on product, where I can buy it, taking support calls from merchandisers and route drivers and stores that have an issue with racks or shelves or out of stock. There's a whole new opportunity for like this whole, let's say, customer service, as Steve is saying, and the customer could be the consumer or a retailer, or even like your own people, like your field sales and operations people. So that's interesting that is becoming, and we're seeing that, like again, the last 6 to 12 months, that's really been a hot area, which is surprising, right? Call centers, old news, not so much. And then the other thing is everything that Steve said.
Let's talk about going back to basics.
Ties to data. It all ties to data, though. If you don't have data, you can't see if the product, as Steve said, on the boat, on the shore, on a truck, at the warehouse, in the distribution center. So data, what's old is new. Like data and analytics is still and will continue to be like hugely important. to enable things like consumer insights, manufacturing, supply chain.